Oh, hi Joseph. It's great to talk to you. Thanks for your time today. We're excited about potentially offering you this job. Yeah, oh great. I'm excited to be here and happy to talk to you. Good, good. Say Joseph, can you give me a sense of what salary range you were anticipating for this role? Why you ask me that question? You're making me uncomfortable. I thought we were friends. I'm leaving. Just kidding, I'm back. All right, people. Anticipate that question, but don't do what I just did. But it felt really good to do that because I've received that question a number of times and it always makes me uncomfortable. And it's probably going to make you uncomfortable too. But you're going to be more uncomfortable if you're not prepared for the question. So, the first thing you need to do is anticipate the question. It takes a number of slightly different forms. Can you give me a sense of what salary you're expecting for this job? Can you give me a sense of the compensation you're expecting for this role? Something like that. But if you're interviewing in the corporate world and trying to get a new job, chances are very, very high that you're going to get this question. So you should be prepared to answer it. How do you prepare to answer it? In the usual ways. You can go online and type in how to answer the question about salary range during a job interview or something like that. You can also find some resources and some answers that will get you started on places like Glassdoor or salary.com. LinkedIn will even actually give you some salary ranges or an indication of what the salary might be. But what you really want to do to narrow in on this, to get the correct answer or as close as possible, is two things. You want to find the salary range for the job you're going for in the city or town where you're applying for it. Because salary ranges across the United States, for instance, are different. The cost of living is different in the United States. So if you're looking for a job in California, the cost of living is higher there than it is, say, maybe in the middle of the country. So if you're moving around or changing jobs, you want to anticipate that there's a big difference in salary ranges just to cover the cost of living in certain places. So, okay, do your research. You're going to have to figure out some kind of an answer to answer this question. I also suggest talking to people that you trust, maybe your parents or your uncles or mentors that you have in the workforce, and bounce this question off of them and get their advice. Some people will say to you, oh, just ask for $1 million. Don't do that because that marks you as someone who doesn't want the job. So seriously, you can ask for the higher end of the range. This all falls into the category of salary negotiation. And negotiation, by its very existence, is, a back and forth until two parties reach an acceptable level of price or cost, right? So that's really what you're doing here. I purposely did not do any research for this particular video because I want to just give you my experience and I want to see if we can get some people to give some comments here on the video about what they've experienced. And I also didn't want any research I did for this to sort of water down or taint what I was going to give you. And what am I going to give you? Anticipate the question. You're going to get the question. Do your research and have an answer ready. Now, if you're not comfortable answering that question, let's say the first encounter you have with a job application is not a human being, it's an online form, and there's the question, tell us your salary range. I've done this in the past. It hasn't worked remarkably well, but you can do this. You could type in or say, I'm not comfortable speaking about salary at this point. I'd like to learn more about the specifics of the role before we discuss salary. So you can politely ask that. You can politely say that. That's fair. That's well within your bounds. But it's aggravating for the people asking the question, the HR people, the recruiters, the hiring managers, because they really want to get past this. And in fact, that's the next point I want to give you. You really want to get past this question sort of as quickly as you can and get the issue resolved. But you don't want to resolve it in a way that doesn't work as a balance for everybody, right? So ultimately what you settle on as compensation for a job is something you need to be able to live with, something you're happy with. Because if you get in at a low price because maybe you say, oh, I could never ask for that much money, or I'm too embarrassed to ask for that much money, or they're not going to like me. Don't do that, and don't worry about that. I need you to be strong here, people. This is your job. You're exchanging your goods, your services for a wage. So you're worth it, hopefully. So don't be afraid to ask for what you're worth. And you can find that out by doing your research. So if you get in at a lowball price because you were afraid to negotiate, then you might be happy from day one, and then 6 months or a year into it, you're miserable because you don't feel you're getting paid enough. You got lowballed on the price. And P.S., know that what people are giving for usually for raises in the corporate world is a cost of living increase. So you're going to get 2%, 3%, 4%, 5% maybe on top of your base salary. And 2% of not much is not much. So you need to make sure that going into this, you're at a high enough base salary so that your yearly merit increases are, reasonable on top of what you already got. Okay, so I am going to ask for the community to help us out here, because it would be very interesting for me to learn from HR people or recruiters or hiring managers what their thoughts are on asking this question, and why we shouldn't just evolve to a case where if you're hiring someone for a position, you tell them up front what it pays. Look, it's this range. It's $65,000 to $72,000. That's the range. I don't know why they don't come right out and tell you that. In some cases, they do tell you. But the other thing you'll find is that if you do your research and you find a range for the job that you're going for in a particular city, inevitably, the person hiring you is going to say, oh, that range is unrealistic. It's too high. It's too high. They always bump up the ranges there on salary.com or Glassdoor or LinkedIn. So be prepared for that too. So what you want to avoid here is a cat and mouse game, a back and forth that deteriorates the conversation and the job interview down into this stalemate or an impasse based on, we can't figure out what I should be paid for the job, and we haven't even talked about the job. So you really want to get this straightened out. You need to be happy with it. They need to be happy with it. The answer is out there, and it's kind of a trick question. So you also want to be careful here of how you answer this. You want to try to answer it quickly and confidently. And whatever you say, you need to be able to live with. They're kind of looking for that too. If they find that you're wishy-washy or unprofessional or can't handle the question, that shows how you might be in front of a client or how you might be in the work environment, and they don't want that. So that could cost you the job. But what I don't want is for the inability or the ability for you to answer this question to cost you the job. That's ridiculous. To not be able to get through this question and lose the job because of it, that's just stupid. So you don't need to go there. And you shouldn't be afraid. You shouldn't be filled with fear over this question. You're going to get asked this question, like, how much am I supposed to pay you for the work you're going to do for me? That's normal. You would ask that for how much is it going to cost me for the work you're going to do. You would do that. You should do that for whatever you're purchasing. Okay, so there are other people who've been in the corporate work environment a long time who are not recruiters or HR people or hiring managers. They also know the answer to this question, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments if you could let us know what the answer to this question is. I have had a person tell me, well, what are you making now? And I told him, and he said, you should ask for $5,000 more. I said, ask for $5,000 more? He said, no, build that into a range. So, example, if you're making $50,000, you should say, well, my range is between 55 and 65, right? So it's $10,000 above the 5,000 that you want, and the 5,000 is at the low end, right? So even if you get the low end, you're making $5,000 more. And if you get more than that, that's great. But again, this whole thing starts to turn into a cat and mouse game, and it can add stress, and it really can bring the whole crowd down and really ruin things. So salary negotiation is a big part of your job search. I've been able to get through it. I've made a lot of mistakes. But essentially what it is you're going to have an open heart and an open mind. You're going to have to be educated, and you're going to have to figure out what the range is for the job you're going for, and you say that. And try to get that straightened out up front. Now, know that you don't really have to have this 100% nailed down during your screening interview. It helps, but you want to kind of keep that range big. If you're pushed into a corner and you really want the job, and you have to give a salary range on the screening interview, you want to make that range a little bit wider. And then the next person you talk to, salary will probably come up again. So by that time, you really want to begin to refine the salary that you're looking for this job, and don't sell yourself short, because you're worth it. You're offering your services to a company to help them out. It's an exchange, and there are market rates that they'll pay for people who can do this. So it's nothing shocking. You're getting paid for the job you're doing, and there is a range, and you'd want to know what that range is. Now, you don't want to be greedy. If they make a decent offer to you and the company's great and the company's growing and perhaps it's a little bit less than what you wanted, take the job. Don't nickel and dime them over $100 or $200 or even $1,000. If you're close to where you want to be, take the job. If you have skills that will add to that company, you may get promoted from within. You'll make more money in a year or two. It's worth it. Plus, if you're working for a great company, you can parlay that into another job somewhere else if you decide to leave. So you always want to be conscious of getting more money as you go along. Yes, the best way to make money is to leave the company and go to another company, but you just want to be conscious of this whole salary negotiation thing as you go into a job interview, and you're going to be asked, no doubt. You're going to be asked on forms that aren't human beings. You're going to be asked in the screening. You're going to be asked in the second interview, probably at the third interview. Now, if you get to the third interview and it looks like everything's going along nicely and they're going to make you an offer, you probably will be asked again for the job salary. And you say, look, we've had 2 or 3 interviews. I love this potential opportunity. I really, really am excited about working for your company. I don't want salary to be an issue. Here's my number. Here's the number I'm thinking of. And what they're probably going to do is say, I'll have to get back to you on that. You say, okay, that's fine. It's fine. I'm patient. No, I don't want this to be a deal breaker. I'm patient. Do the best you can for me. And if they go out and they give you a number, they may come back with your number. That's great. Sign the paperwork. You're in. If they come back with something that hasn't moved at all, and you feel you have the leverage, again, this is dangerous to do, you could say, well, that number's still too low. Can you do the following? And then they're going to have to go back. 2 more days will pass. So the negotiation can be difficult at that point. If you have the heart and soul for it, then go for it. But again, you don't want to lose the job by being someone who's sort of, someone higher up might say, what's up with this person? They keep asking for more money. Who are they? Are they worth it? And, you might lose the job based on that. So you want to be careful. So it is tricky. It is a big deal, but I don't want you to freak out about it. Okay, time for me to thank my subscribers who subscribe to this channel. We're growing. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for hitting the like button. I truly appreciate it. Thank you in advance to any recruiter, HR person, or hiring manager that could drop a comment below and let us know how this works from your side. It would be so helpful to help people who are looking for jobs right now not to get tripped up by this question, because there's so many great people out there and they may not be great at negotiating, but they're great at what they want to be hired for, right? They might be an engineer or a coder or something like that. They don't think in terms of, I have to haggle with somebody, right? and you don't want to lose them based on that. So drop a comment down, let us know, help us out here. If you're a seasoned career professional and you've been through this a number of times and you have a good answer, do you think people would enjoy or that would help people? Please put that in as well. And I'm grateful to you for watching this series about your career from Vox Pictoria. And I'm grateful for your time. I'm going to let you go. That is another video. I'll see you in the next one. My name's Joe, out from Vox Pictoria. Thank you so much. Bye.